How's it going, everybody? My name is Absalom and welcome to my channel. This video is a solo strategy guide for the Easter egg on Alpha Omega. I want to let you know that I've timestamped every single step below in case you need to skip to a specific spot. Alright, starting with the class setup that I like to use for this. Now I've put this class setup in the description below in case you need to reference it later. But I like to use Winter's Whale and Solo because when you're putting in the codes, it's rather difficult to put those codes in and hold a zombie. Alright, let's get straight into this with the very first part. Okay, so by round 4 I like to do several things. So here's the order that I like to do them in. I like to turn on power and then complete the lockdown, then I build the shield. That's when I come back up top and I complete all 4 vents. After that, then I go ahead and build the teleporter pieces. Once you pick up those parts, then you can go ahead and place them. One goes by the power switch and one goes by the prisoner holding. Now these parts are going to come in handy for a later step, but it is nice to go ahead and place them and knock it out early on. At this point, I would buy the Spitfire in the greenhouse and then you're on to the last few things. Head down to Solitary and then you'll be able to hold interact on this box in order to pick up this key. Now you need to collect 4 codes. The first one's located in Operations and it will always be 7626. The second one is the Sawyer code and this is located in AP Interrogations. So the first one is on top of that desk behind the green radio. The second one is on top of this green machine right there. If it's not there in your game, then just run upstairs. It'll be located on the corner of this machine. Make sure you record this number because it will be random every single game. The next code is the McCain one and it's located in APD control. It'll be underneath a stack of papers, so just shoot the papers and then record your code. The fourth and final code is located in this desk drawer in the upper floor of the yellow house, so use your key from earlier to interact with the desk. The drawer will pop open and you'll get your code. Alright, that is everything you can do by round 4 or 5, so now head back up to Operations, and after killing the last zombie, the machines will turn on behind you. This will trigger a long quote from Rushmore, and once this is done, you'll need to input your 4 codes in the correct order into the numbers panel behind you. Once the last code is entered, you now need to acquire the galvanucles that are located in the back of the red truck. After this, there are 4 TVs down in the bunker, and you need to find the one that is set to static. The first one is there in the lounge next to the billiards table. The next one is down here in the beds on the left side of the Pack-a-Punch. The third one is also located in beds on the right side of Pack-a-Punch. And the fourth and final one will be located in the diner, and it's going to be on top of a cardboard box. Keep in mind that there's different TVs all over the map, but they're all used for different things. Once you find the one that is set to static, then go ahead and melee a zombie directly in front of it using your galvanucles. After this, the TV should turn on and a voice should read off 5 letters with numbers associated with each letter. So after around 30 games of doing this, I've only ever received these 5 combinations. If for some reason I find any more, I will make sure to update my guide. But for your convenience, I've linked this photo in the description below so you can reference it later on. So you need to record the letters and the numbers that you get in your game, and then you're going to make your way back up to the top of the map. So the way this works is that each letter corresponds to a specific house. So here are all the house addresses. So starting with the yellow house, that is house A. Moving across the street, house B will be the greenhouse. Now if you move back up the street, the little blue house on the left will be house C, and then directly across from that will be house D. If only addresses were this easy in real life. Okay, so after house D, the orange house, which is Operations and where Rushmore is, will be house E. Directly across from that will be house F. So if you haven't figured out already, the addresses are in the mailboxes of each house in case you forget which house is which. So that covers all the letters, but the numbers in your sequence correspond to clocks that are located in each house. So now I'm going to quickly show you each location for the clocks. The first one being in the upstairs of the yellow house. The next one in prisoner holding is right here beside the door. Now moving to the next house, which is Operations. Make your way upstairs and then around the corner and you'll find it on the wall next to the ray gun. Okay, now to go across the street, starting with APD Interrogations, the clock is right here on the bottom floor. Now heading to the brown house next door, that is the transfusion facility, the clock will be located in the middle next to this doorway right here. Now for the last clock, it'll be located in the greenhouse, so make your way upstairs, and it'll be located next to my silent but deadly friend Susan. So you need to go to each house in order and then input the times that go with each letter into the corresponding clocks. After finishing all 5 times, now go to the house that was not part of your sequence. Hold interact on that clock and then it'll start to spin rapidly. Now you just need to record what the time is when the clock stops. Then just head back to Rushmore and input the number that you received on your clock. If you fail this at any point, then go to the next round and you'll be able to try again. Also, after you're done, you can receive a free Pack-a-Punch weapon in the prisoner holding. After your code is entered, you now need to hold interact on Rushmore to start this next step. So once he starts talking, you now need to find a red Nova 6 crawler. So I find that he usually spawns in the generator room, however, just run around the map in the bunker until he spawns in. Make sure you don't hurt him in any way, otherwise you will fail this step. During this step, you will now have infinite zombies, so you can use your galvanucles to rack up as many points as you want while you're escorting him. Take your Nova Crawler to the transfusion facility, and once in the room, he should go up the stairs in order to complete this step. Now make your way back to Rushmore and activate him once again in order to move on to the next part. At this point, you need to now make your way to storage and then activate the A.D.A.M unit. You can now just sprint towards the diner and he will follow. Once you're in the diner, head to the exit stairs and then interact with the door. After a few seconds, Marlton will ask you about your A.D.A.M unit, and then he will toss out a 115 canister onto the floor. Now you need to pick up this canister and then head up to the transfusion facility. Once you're there, then place your canister on this shelf right here, and then you'll need to head back to Rushmore. After interacting with Rushmore, you will now be on to the next step. When Rushmore's done talking, then go interact with this server right here. Now you'll need to end the round in order to spawn in a jolting jack. At this point, I recommend killing every single zombie except for your jolting jack to make this a little bit easier. Now, lure your electric friend over to the server, and then while standing in front of the panel, wait for him to do an electric attack, then you'll need to dodge it and it should hit the panel instead, allowing for it to open. For this step, you'll have to be super quick, which is why those teleporter parts you placed earlier come into play. So you need to grab the server part, then teleport, and then head to operations as fast as you can. You can use your specialist to get extra speed after you teleport, or you can just run and slide. Once you put the part into the panel in operations, now you're on to the next step. So now you need to get Brainrot onto one of your guns. Now 3 paintings around the map will be smoking green. Now turning a zombie in front of this painting into a Brainrot zombie will knock off the painting on the wall, revealing a code. The first painting is located here in beds just across the Pack-a-Punch. Now these codes will be random every single time. The next painting is located in the lounge, and it'll be the George Washington painting. Once you get your Brainrot zombie, make sure you record your code again, and then you'll be on to the third painting. I also want to mention that you could use the Elixir Control-Z in order to make a Brainrot zombie as well. So the third painting is located up here in the upstairs of the greenhouse, and again, just make a Brainrot zombie and record your code. Now that you have all 3 codes, make your way back to Rushmore and input all 3 codes. The order in which you put them in doesn't really matter, however, you do need to put them in a timely manner. After the third code, activate Rushmore once again, triggering the next step. At this point, the power will go out. So now you need to head back down to the bunker, and there will be 6 switches that you'll need to flip in order to turn the power back on. So here I've got a super easy solution for this puzzle. Shout out to Captain Disastered for initially finding this solution. So if you go to each location and you put the switch in the placement that is on this screen, it will solve this puzzle every single time. So now I'm going to show you where every single switch is in the bunker. So starting with the diner, it is right here beside the bathroom. Now if you make your way out to the beds location will be right here on this wall right here. Now turning around and going down the hall towards the lounge location will be right here located on the wall. Now for the generator location, it'll be on the wall diagonally across from the perk. Moving on to the storage location, it'll be on the wall that is left of the exit and also across from the A.D.A.M unit. Now for the final location in solitary, it'll be right here on the wall next to the Tommy gun wall by. If you put all 6 switches in the correct position, the 6 lights on the top should turn green, and then you'll need to go back up to the top of the map in the powerhouse and flip the main power switch back on. Now head back and interact with Rushmore in order to start the next step. At this point, 3 mannequins are going to spawn into the map, and there's 6 locations in total. The locations for the mannequins are as follows. So there's one in the backyard of the yellow house. There's one over here in prisoner holding. It'll be just inside around the corner on that plate right there. It could also spawn in the middle of the diner on top of that metal grate right there. Another spot it could spawn in is the lounge, and it'll be in this corner right here on top of that metal grate right there. Going back up top, the backyard of the transfusion facility is the next location. And for the final location, it'll be in the backyard of the greenhouse in this back corner. One of your 3 mannequins will be sparking blue, and you'll be able to interact with it starting a lockdown. I also want to mention that you're always going to have 2 mannequins up top and then 1 down in the bunker, and the order for these lockdowns will always be top, bunker, top. After completing the lockdown, the mannequin will drop a body part, so you need to make sure you go in and interact and pick it up. During these trials, you do not need to kill anything at all, but in solo, I find that it is easier if you do. Some of these lockdowns can be in really tight spaces, so if you get somewhere like prisoner holding, I recommend saving your specialist and using undead men walking. Also, if you're in prisoner holding, I recommend picking up that teleporter part because you will fail if you teleport out. After picking up 2 arms and a head, go ahead and place it on the mannequin in APD interrogation, and then you'll get a nice audio quote. At this point, Rushmore is going to tell you to find an elemental orb that is somewhere on the map. It'll be inside of a window barrier, however, the most common places I seem to find it are the upstairs of the yellow house and the downstairs of the greenhouse. When you find this orb, you'll need to stay close to it and then escort it back to the APD interrogations. In solo, this can be a little bit tricky, but if you're playing in a team, then only one player has to escort the orb and the other people can hold zombies up top to make it easier on the player. In solo, I would save your specialist until the bunker because as you can see, it's a little bit hectic, making it difficult to stay with the orb. You can also input the code 3279 to slow down all the zombies before starting this. Once your orb makes it back to the mannequin in APD interrogations, the screen will flash white, despawning all the zombies. Now, after the audio quote, you'll need to make your way back to Rushmore and then activate him one more time in order to start the last step. Now at this point, get completely set up like you will for the boss fight and then head down to APD control. Interact with these screens right here, triggering the last step before you do the boss fight. For this, you'll just need to kill roughly 25 mannequins anywhere in this room in order to collect souls in order to activate the APD. When it's finished, all the mannequins will despawn and you'll get to have a really awesome conversation with the Avogadro. After the really epic countdown, then quickly make your way to the storage room. You'll need to interact with this soul pod right here, and then you'll need to collect about 25 souls. In this room, it can be a little bit tricky with the spawns, so I throw wraith fires at both entrances, and then I just run around the room avoiding the Avogadro. I would hold off on using your Undead Man walking elixir at this point and save it for another phase. Once you've collected enough souls, a Max and a Carpenter will spawn in the middle of this room. Quickly collect these and then make your way out of the room as fast as possible, because you will instantly die if you fail to leave the room before the boss does his final attack. For the second phase, I usually choose to go to the lounge, and the soul canister is right here beside this tent. For this phase, I usually throw a Wraithfire next to the bed's entrance, and then I also either use my specialist or I choose to use my Undead Men walking. Either way, just make it through and collect about 25 souls, avoiding the Avogadro like before. When it's done, quickly leave the room again and collect the Max and Carpenter. Now head to the diner where the soul canister is in the middle of the room. This one's the trickiest one, so I would train him up and then throw a Wraithfire behind you, charging up your specialist, and then that will carry you through to the end. Make sure you collect your Max and Carpenter and then head to the beds. Activate the soul canister on the corner of that half wall, and then I would just run circles around this area. For this one, you can pull out all your stops, use your grenade, specialist, undead, whatever you want or have left. I would use it because this is the final phase. After you collect your Max and Carpenter, now head back to the APD control where the Avogadro will chase after you. Once he's in the room, I would then throw Wraithfires on the floor near him, activate your specialist, or use your strongest gun. You're going to want to push him back and then work him to the back of the APD. Getting him to the bottom of the staircases will automatically trap him and he'll fly back into the APD. Now all you need to do is make your way over to the monitors that you used to start the boss fight, interact with them, triggering the end of the boss fight. At this point, the door on the APD will open, allowing you to pick up the elemental shard. And that's it for the Alpha Omega Easter egg, because picking up the shard will then trigger the cutscene. I will link the cutscene below as well as everything else you need for this Easter egg. I hope this guide helps you, and thank you so much for watching. My name is Absalom, and I hope to see you in my next video.